lie, episode 4 was a bit on the more mundane side of things, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing because this episode was still fun to watch. It was just, there wasn't a lot of story or plot going on. It was just kind of like these cute little dad moments or sibling moments. We got a lot of that, and it was really fun to watch those. But I think it was intentional that they made this episode, for one, shorter and also, kind of not very plot driven, because I think that was intentional because this really seems like the calm before the storm. So this episode was more on the mundane, boring side, not very plot driven or just story driven really. It was just more of a filler episode. So when the next episode comes around, it's just going to be boom, that much more soul crushing because this episode would have lulled us into a false sense of security. So then when we get to the next episode, get ready for pain, I guess, because that's the vibe I get. Because whenever a show does this, it's always just, they have the mundane episode and then they have the soul-crushing episode immediately after, because that's how they get you. That's how they make it that much more painful, is because they have some cute moments before and then it just goes boom. You remember pain? This is what it feels like. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. We are going to get something very insane in the next episode because, that's what they do. But before I continue to rant, what is up, my dudes, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, what's up? I am one creative ginger, and in this house we have salty takes and emotional rants over fictional media, all while wearing the most amazing makeup you have ever seen in your entire life. And that is a fact. So, does that sound like fun? Well, how about helping a bitch out by clicking that subscribe button, and if you find at least one of your brain cells enjoying at least a millisecond of this video, why not hit the like button too? Alright, yep, so basically this episode just is about the Dad Batch learning that being deserters is a lot harder than they thought because they don't have food or resources being supplied to them by either, the Republic or the Empire anymore. So they're kind of totally on their own for the first time because they've kind of never dealt with that before. So that's an interesting, problem that was introduced in this episode. And also, they need to teach Omega about stranger danger because, good lord, this episode is just would never have happened if they just taught her, hey, don't trust random strangers because that's not they're not always there to help you, So yeah, the whole learning how to survive on their own for once, and also learning that Omega is just gonna run off if you don't look after her properly, So those were interesting little conflicts in this episode that I liked. But yeah, so basically, this episode starts off with them landing on Pantora because Tech realizes that their ship is being tracked by their little serial number thing, and so essentially he has to land on a planet in order to fix it and scramble it so people can't scan it, because we see once they land, the guy's just like, oh yeah, let me scan your ship, and they're just like, well, we'll, pay you off so you can skip that step, So, they pay this dude not to scan their ship because that's the whole reason they're there, is to make sure no one can scan their ship anymore, or at least, to throw them off the trail that, hey, this ship is not wanted, So, there was that whole thing. But yeah, so Tech and Wrecker, they stay to work on the ship while Hunter, Echo, and Omega go to the market so they can sell shit because they kind of need credits in order to buy, like, food and supplies, because they say in this episode that they're totally out of food. So they kind of need some food in order to, keep going on the run. So, they have to figure out how to get credits in order to get their food and supplies. So, their big brain solution to this problem was Hunter selling Echo to a shopkeeper, because Echo's totally disguised as a droid in order to, blend in with civilians, just like Hunter's dressed as a civilian, So, so he ends up selling Echo to this guy for like 3,000 credits, which insultingly low, by the way, because we all know damn well that Echo is a luxury no man or woman or droid or anything can afford. This man is priceless. So, the fact that he was super offended that he was sold for 3,000 credits was hilarious, because it just reminds me of that whole meme about, like, I'd sell you for a corn chip kind of thing. That's totally what this reminded me of. I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, so then during that whole scene, Omega runs off because this little alien dog thing was playing with her little clone trooper toy, and he's still got it in its mouth, and then, you know, the little cart that he was on takes off, and she's like, no, I want my toy, and so she runs after him, and eventually she gets the toy, but then she realizes she's really lost. She doesn't know where Hunter is, or any of the Bad Batch, and so she's kind of just, like, there. She has no communication device either, which was kind of weird. I feel like they would have given her one at some point, but, like, they didn't. So, that's something they should probably do at some point, because obviously she should be able to work one properly. So, yeah, I feel like that'd be a helpful thing in the future if she had a communication device with her. So if this shit happens again, you know, she'll be fine, relatively, you know. So now she's totally lost, totally alone, doesn't know where she is, doesn't know where Hunter or the Bad Batch is, but she eventually gets found by Fennec Shand or Shand. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, but she was apparently in The Mandalorian. Have not watched The Mandalorian, so not really sure what her deal is, but apparently she's obviously a bounty hunter, because that shifty dude, you know, that Tekken Wrecker had to pay off in order for him not to scan their little ship code. He ends up totally being a little snitch and calling her and being like, hey, I have some information for you. You might want to come to this planet. Just saying. So, you know, she obviously comes to Pantora. So, that's interesting. Don't know who put that bounty on her, but, I guess we'll find out hopefully soon or eventually in this show. So, we'll just have to stay tuned for that. But, yeah, so Omega, obviously, no concept of stranger danger whatsoever. Just completely trusts Fennec and is like, oh, okay, she's gonna help me find my friends. This is good. I have no reason to distrust this woman. So, yeah, so obviously Omega goes with Fennec, and luckily Hunter is able to track her down because that's his thing, obviously. And then basically for the rest of the episode, it's just this crazy fight. You know, they're going into maintenance tunnels, Omega's running away from Fennec, and then Hunter and, you know, Wrecker eventually comes into play. But yeah, they're chasing after Fennec and making sure she doesn't get Omega. And yeah, there's just this whole crazy fight scene. You know, they're on those floating cars, they're shooting people, and they're like Grand Theft Autoing different vehicles. And it was, oh, it was great. Just watching this fight scene was super great. Like, it's very well animated, and it was just super interesting to watch. Sure, there wasn't a whole lot of plot going on, but there was a lot of action going on, and a lot of running around and being like, oh god, what's gonna happen next, you know? Just in this, like, little short amount of time. Obviously, you know, this is a filler episode, so there's not a whole lot of plot going on, but it was still interesting to watch because this show is just so fun. And yeah, if you're gonna add some really cool fight scenes and a bounty hunter who has, you know, I mean, there is plot going on. I mean, for one, we were just introduced that there's a bounty on Omega. We don't know why, though. So now we have, you know, Fennec going after them now, because now the Empire's going after them. But yeah, so after that very nice, well-animated fight scene that we got, you know, eventually Hunter and Omega are able to get away from Fennec and get back to the ship, and they're all, you know, all of them are able to get back to the ship. You know, Echo's able to get back, Wrecker's able to get back, you know, and then they all escape from Fennec and they leave the world. They go off world, and, you know, now they're left to wonder who put the bounty on Omega, and, you know, why did they want to put a bounty on her? Like, what's her deal, you know? So I think it's someone. I don't know if it's the Kaminoans. I don't think it is, especially since Nala Se helped them escape in the first episode. So I don't think it's the Kaminoans that want her back. I think it's someone. I think the Kaminoans had worked with a third party or something, you know? It wasn't just them that worked on creating Omega. I think it was someone else that was working on it, but then, like, that fell through. once, like, Nala Se helped the Bad Batch escape with Omega, and then the third party was like, excuse me? Because I think Omega was supposed to be for someone else, and then maybe the Kaminoans were like, I don't want to do that anymore. At least Nala Se was like that, because she seems to be very attached to Omega. So she's like, okay, the Bad Batch will escape with her, so then we don't have to deal with this third party anymore, because maybe the third party was giving them shit to some point. I don't know. I feel like there's a third party involved with the creation of Omega, so now that third party wants that bounty on her, and that's why they want her alive, too. That's an interesting thing that they introduced, because now there's even more conflict for them to deal with, because they have to get away from the Empire, for one, and have to deal with all the stupid regulation and numbers and shit, so they have to work around that, and now, you know, Omega has a bounty placed on her, so now they gotta be extra careful. So that's basically all that happened in episode 4. Definitely shorter than the other 3 episodes. Hopefully we'll get something insane in the next episode. Yeah, honestly, not a whole lot really happened to, like, further the plot in general. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, there's a bounty on Omega. That's a thing, and also, hey, the Bad Batch doesn't have resources anymore. They can't rely on, like, the Republic or the Empire anymore, so now they have to get shit for themselves so they can, you know, have food and supplies and shit. So, yeah, that was also interesting, but it was nothing like, because I guess the show doesn't really have, like, a specific plot other than they're trying to figure out how to be dads and also get Crosshair back from the Empire's clutches, you know. That's like the plot I get from it now, but, like, I feel like it's still setting shit up. I don't think there's a plot quite yet, so that's why I think that this episode is going to just kind of kick off the actual plot, because now it's like, oh yeah, there's a bounty, the Bad Batch needs to learn how to fend for themselves now, you know, the Empire's up to some shit, so are the Kaminoans, like, there's a lot of stuff going on now. And so I think now that we have some context, because in Clone Wars, we didn't get any storyline with them, really. All they were, it was just, like, helping the regular clones free Echo, so they didn't really have, like, a plot line. And now that they have their own actual show, they didn't have any plot to start off with. This whole show kind of was starting off this plot. So yeah, so essentially I think these first 4 episodes were to kick off a plot line now that we have some context and now we know kind of what's going on. Now they can actually send us into a plot now. We have some emotional attachment to them. You know damn well they're gonna go off in the next, for the rest of the show. God. This show is so fun. But yeah, I've got suspicions that, you know, our hearts are going to be slowly ripped out as the show progresses. So that is all I have to say about episode 4 of The Bad Batch. If you guys have any predictions, thoughts, and or feelings about this show, share all that good shit in the comments down below. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching and getting to the end of my video. If you would like to support me, I sell all kinds of art on these 4 sites right here if y'all are interested in buying. If you would like to follow me on other social media, I have an Instagram and a Twitter if y'all want to stay up to date on my shenanigans. So, if you liked this video, why not hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and give that bell a ring if you would like to see more of my face every Wednesday when I post a new video. And don't forget to stay sparkly, my dudes!